fact, I just want to show Dowell's folks, I'm not hating on them the way they think I hate on them. I actually want to play 2 clips, Corey, that you and I basically would agree with, and we could use against One West Hebrew Israelites.
Okay.
It's clip 4 and 5. I don't know if you have a different order, but it's the one about Esther and the one about Timothy. There's 2 different ones.
Okay.
But yeah, check these out. He makes some good points here. Check this out.
A man by the name of Timothy, who had a father who was a Greek, but his mother was a Yehudi, or a Jewish, which you will read in the book. Him is the one that Paul taught. Now, if you listen to a lot of these doctrines today, they would say based on the nationality of his father, he couldn't be an Israelite. But that's after the flesh. That's not after the spirit. Because now Paul took him, circumcised him, and then not only that, gave him instructions to ordain elders in every city. So Paul, they didn't, if the Greek man, his father was a white man at that time, Paul didn't use that as a means to discriminate this man and his love for Yah, his love for Jesus.
Okay.
What do you think, Corey?
To be honest with you, I was reading the text.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, so there he made points we would mainly agree with. So he brought out the case of Timothy. Timothy's father is clearly described as a Greek. Now, what the One West Hebrew Israelites do, and they would disagree with Dowell and Straitway in this, they try to say Greek actually means a Hebrew who is actually living like a Greek instead of just letting the word speak for itself because it says Greek. They'll try to say, well, actually, no, that's like a Hebrew who's Greek. Well, there's a word for that. It's called a Hellenized Jew or Hellenized Hebrew, and that appears in Acts 6, but that's not what's used to describe Timothy, is it? No, Timothy is described as one who has a father who was a Greek, and that makes sense why he also was not circumcised yet, right? And you can see this in Acts chapter 18. So again, I'm agreeing with that point made by Pastor Dowell there, and he's using that point against other Hebrew Israelites, and then in that spot he is correct. So look at this. Here's what it says. Where'd it go? Wait, isn't it Acts 18? No, now I'm getting lost. No, that's a reunion amongst them. I'm trying to find the place where it describes his father. I'm going to find it in just a second here. But Timothy is described as one who has a Greek, and he does get circumcised. You know, he does do that later on, and that's a big commitment, right? Imagine doing that once you're older, right? That's a big deal. Oh yeah, it's I think it's Acts 6. But so he's showing there that Timothy is able, even though his father was a Greek and his mother was the Jewish person in the relationship, he's still able to be a travel companion. He's a minister of the gospel. And in fact, later on, he's a pastor of the churches of Ephesus and things like that. And Dowell also brought that out. He said he gave him instructions, and that's where those instructions appear, that the elders are supposed to only have one wife. Also, that's where that appears, actually, is in Timothy. And so you see this very issue with Timothy, and you say, okay, so we can agree with him there. He's right there, right? That his father was a Greek. We agree. That's true. And I think that's important. And, what's interesting about that is, remember, he said in his book that you could only have a Gentile who could only teach if he was taught by a Hebrew, right? Well, it's true that Paul was taught by Timothy. Timothy was taught by Paul. That's true that Timothy was taught by Paul. In fact, he describes him as his true son in the faith, right? But when Paul tells Timothy to appoint men like he does Titus, who is also a Gentile, he never gives the qualification that they have to be a Hebrew taught by another Hebrew. He just gives their character qualifications and says they must be apt to teach. You would have to insert the idea that they have to be a Hebrew taught by a fellow Hebrew. And in fact, he wouldn't even meet that qualification. So if he's not a Hebrew, how then could he teach the elders he's appointing? Because they're not going to be taught by Paul. They're going to be taught by Timothy or someone who's associated with him. So he himself is not a Hebrew on his father's side. So how then would he be allowed to even teach the people that he's supposed to be appointing? Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm just going back to go against a point that he said there, that I feel very strongly that they've got to be taught by Hebrews. Well, it doesn't say that. So we agree with him in one place, but I think it counteracts him in another place. And let me just show you 1 Timothy 3. This saying is trustworthy. If anyone aspires to the officer of overseer, he desires a noble task. Therefore, an overseer must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, sober-minded, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not a drunkard, not violent, but gentle. And that's why I said Elder Rufus shouldn't have said he was going to punch me. Not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own household well with all dignity, keeping his children submissive. For if someone does not know how to manage his own household, how will he care for God's church? He must not be a recent convert, or he may become puffed up with conceit and fall into the condemnation of the devil. Moreover, he must be well thought of by outsiders so that he may not fall in disgrace into a snare of the devil. Notice, none of those are ethnic qualifications, are they?
Nope.
None of them say that who your teachers were either. It's character and skill. It's more emphasis on character, but skill, able to teach. That one is in there as well. But we agree with Dowell that this does show Gentiles, at least if we're counting on the father side, or people who are mixed descent, whatever way you want to go with it, are definitely included. So he is right about that basic point.
Okay. You said did you want to go ahead and play that other clip?
Last one. And then I really feel like I want to make sure you ask me questions. I almost feel like I took over the show.
No.
I feel really bad.
Listen, this is wonderful. There aren't too many people who know this stuff about them like you. And so I'll say, listen, I can say what I want to say as to the scriptures, but you've got a good understanding of how they work. Plus, you got a good handle of the scriptures. And so you far outdo me in this regard. I don't know much about them other than what they say about the scripture. And by the way, you guys, I told you to send me an email. The little historical stuff. I won't go to the back and forth about the historical aspects of this and that and racial components of. No, we're going to go through the book because at least we can agree on that. We've got this book that's going to be that is, if you do agree that the book is our guide. And so we'll go through that and see if we can read this thing in context. And before we do, I'm going to ask you some ground rules about how you read, because I'm going to hold you to whatever your definition or your hermeneutic is, and we're going to apply your hermeneutic to reading the scriptures. And then we're going to see if you will stand by your own hermeneutic. And so, but no, I am getting a lot out of it. I'm sure the audience is getting a lot out of you doing the majority. Listen, this is your show. So,
well, I appreciate it. And you've done a lot of work to build up this platform. It's like this. I want everyone to notice, again, remember what I tried to do. I hope it was somewhat successful in the beginning. It showed some of the differences between IUIC and Straitway. These are just two of the many Hebrew Israelite groups. Specific reason why I focus on them, because you got to start somewhere. And they both made recent appearances on a large conservative media platform that a lot of people have access to or have watched. That's not a traditional Hebrew Israelite platform. So this is literally very fresh in an important way to show the growth and the continued visibility of this thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to go away. So Christians will need to learn about this if they want to do their due diligence. But notice how I did not say that they were identical or the same. Some of the points I'm making would only work with certain groups because they're specific to what they believe. Now, some of them would work with all the groups. But notice, I see Elder Rufus or Brother Daniel Muir, I think, also saying I was slandering or lying or something. What was the lie? Show me where it was. They didn't give any examples. And shout out to everyone else. You got Chris out here, Alton Johnson, D. New, Miss Titus too, some great people in the live chat I want to give love to. But it's not just about debating for the point of debating. I wish Hebrewites could see we genuinely believe that this doctrine is dragging people off into an unhealthy place. And we don't have to name call or ridicule. Some people might do that sometimes, but I'm saying the substance of the critique against Hebrew Islamism are some of the bad ideas that it entails. And you guys should be able to handle that, especially at Straitway. You have no problem talking, however, about Christians and Christian churches and name calling. We're asking, let us criticize you as well, because we're going to make legit criticisms of what you teach and believe, and let's find out who is true. I would be willing to debate Pastor Dowell. I don't think I'd want to go to Tennessee and do it in his backyard on their property, but I would be very open and willing to debating him or someone at Straitway. Or we could have private conversations. I'm down. But let me show you, just again, to continue to extend the olive branch, another place where we would agree with something Pastor Dowell said over and against some of the Hebrew Israelites that we would both agree are wrong about. It's the last clip. It's clip 5.
Okay. When I say last clip, I think I got them a little out of order. I think this is it, though.
Can't do it. When you look at the history of Christianity, it actually started in the 3rd century.
So it must be 6 then. Let's see if that's it.
A man by the name of Timothy, who had a father who was a Greek, but his mother was a Yehudi or a Jewess, which you will read in the book. Him is the one that Paul taught. Now, if you listen to a lot of these doctrines today, they will say
No, that's not it either.
No,
Okay.
that's what we just talked about. That's where he's using that verse against IUIC, who made an appearance on the show as well.
It's